Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally doesn't work. Let's get open for business here. And thank you for joining this morning's edition of Don't Sleep on the Dallas Cowboys, because literally, you can't sleep on the Dallas Cowboys because you go to bed and you think that, okay, nothing's going on. But things happen late in the evening, late in the night, first thing in the morning, so you want to be up to speed. And as I reported right after doing our live stream, and shout out to everybody who joined into our live stream last night, we even had Law Nation in the house, and we had a great discussion. And one of the things that we talked about were our breakout players that we're looking for this year. And Law Nation's breakout player was actually Randy Gregory, and we closed the show on that. Went out to my outdoor man cave there, sat down, and I like to sit down and relax, have the fire going and things like that, and just kind of chill and get my thoughts together. Then all of a sudden, as we reported last night, Randy Gregory will be in New York, possibly today, to meet with the commissioner about being reinstated. Now, see, what you have to understand is the NFL basically has 60 days to make a decision once the application is put in. The application was put in about 21 days ago, so they have about 5 weeks. Hence, we'll know before training camp, which is good news, whether or not he will be reinstated. And if we end up using Josh Gordon as a measuring stick, more than likely, because Randy Gregory has the support group, he's been clean for over a year, as far as drug tests and stuff. He hasn't failed any for quite a while, thank God. And he's got recommendations from Sean Lee, Jeff Heath, Tyrone Crawford, and so on. So more than likely, he should be reinstated. Now, the question you ask is, what kind of shape is he in? I wish I could answer that one, because being you're suspended, you're not allowed to have any contact with the team, go to the facilities, work out, or anything like that. So that's the big mystery. What kind of shape is he in? Hopefully, we'll find out sometime in the near future if he will, in fact, be able to be the guy. I had somebody comment and and said, "Oh, you're on his bandwagon and stuff now." And it's not. No, listen. I always said the guy had tremendous potential. The thing that bothers me is when we have guys come out of college that we anoint. We're going to give him Charles Haley's number. He's the next Charles Haley. The next DeMarcus Ware. Taking a guy who should have been a first-round draft pick but failed a drug test on the biggest job interview of your life, I'd slow the roll before you anoint him as the next Charles Haley. We do that with players all the time. Des Bryant, we brought out and said he's the next 88. He's going to be the next Drew Pearson. He's going to be the next Michael Irvin. Let's hold up. Let's let him get on the field first. Let's not put that added pressure on those guys to be in this. You don't want to have to step into that shadow and have all the expectations, because here's the difference. If I do a job and I tell the people it's going to take 2 weeks to do it, and it takes 2 weeks and 3 days. You said it was going to be done in 2 weeks. The expectations were you were going to be done in 2 weeks. You're not done in 2 weeks. You're done in 2 weeks and 3 days. If I tell the people it's going to take 3 weeks, and it takes me 2 weeks and 3 days, I'm a hero. Because the expectations weren't so high. You're a hero. But when we bring a guy out and we say he's going to be the next, now all of a sudden they fall short, because now you're comparing to greatest ever, top of the top, cream of the crop. They can be really, really good, but then they're deemed a failure. So that was my whole thing with Randy Gregory, as in, don't put those expectations out there like that. Let's see what they start doing on the field. When they start making years that are kind of like Charles Haley, like, you say, you know what? He's getting like Charles Haley. So don't put that added pressure on guys. Originally, it was reported yesterday that Zake Martin's deal was done, finished, out of here, signed, highest paid guard in the NFL. Well, it was close, and it's still thought to be the highest paid guard in NFL history. It should be actually signing sometime today, and hopefully it'll be done out of the way in that practice, because today, guys, is the first of 3 days of the Cowboys minicamp. 3 days more practice. And after that, nothing until we go to training camp. They'll be meeting up on July 24th and flying out to Oxnard to get ready for the first practice on the 27th of July. That's the time that we as fans, the team's front office, the owners, and everybody holds their breath. That's the time that TMZ puts the extra crews out there, because they're looking for dirt on anybody and everybody that they can, especially our Dallas Cowboys. Because that's the time where the players have 5 weeks or so where they're not working with the team. They're not really in contact with the team. It's their last party before the grind of the full season. And sometimes we see some guys get in trouble. Hopefully, for the most part, this season has been really, really good for our Cowboys, with the only exception being Terrence Williams and David Irving dealing with their family issues. So we're cool with that. Now, one other thing we touched on last night a little bit, because we have a Atlanta Falcon fan who trolls the heck out of me. He needs to work on his trolling, but quite frankly. You got Julio Jones holding out, just like we had Zake Martin. And what I was trying to explain is not all holdouts are the same. They're different per position. Some positions, players play well beyond 30 years of age, offensive linemen, quarterbacks. Some positions, you get burned out real quick. Running backs. Running backs, after about 4 years, just drop off a cliff. Very few Emmitt Smiths are there out there, or Barry Sanders. More times than not, you have the Terrell Davises that light up the world for 3 or 4 years, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're gone. It's just too much wear and tear. And that's the same thing about wide receivers. Now, one thing I like to do, I go ahead and I get, Bleacher Report, I get Yard Barker, I get, ESPN, NFL Network. I try and get as much information from everywhere. NFL Media, I'm part of NFL Media. But I like to take those numbers, take those ideas, those thoughts, and everything else, what other people are saying, and try and put it together and see, is there consensus? Is there something that's trending with there, or whatever it is, and try and put it together. It doesn't mean it's always going to be right. But another thing I like to do is look at what's happened in the past, because as much as we think football is different, and it is different, because, give you an idea of doing some of my research, when we look at guys that are getting 100-plus catches a season, when you look at Drew Pearson, 58 was the highest number of receptions he had in one season. It was a different league. Everything was around 48 to 58. Think about that. Drew Pearson, because it focused more on the runs. But I'm crunching these numbers, so I'm actually going through. So you guys see that I actually do work on this, okay? I'm actually going through, and I'm discovering a trend with wide receivers, because the Atlanta Falcons are now on the clock with Julio Jones holding out, who is 29 years of age. His contract's paying him $10.5 million this year. He wants to be paid like the $17 million that other wide receivers are. So the question is, at 29 years of age, do you go through and extend him with another big contract? And I'm going through these numbers, and you're dealing with the same thing with, say, an Odell Beckham. Not quite that old yet, but I'm finding some interesting trends with this. I'm going to go through, because I'm looking at Michael Irvin, Dez, Julio, Calvin Johnson, T.O., Drew Pearson, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Reggie Wayne. So I'm going through and looking at all the statistics and the numbers, and I'm crunching them. And I have got something really, really interesting. And it's going to be about the difference of reality versus perception. And there's two totally different things, because we believe something is over here like this, when in reality, it's really over here. And that's one of the things that we fight as Dallas Cowboy fans, because we are always front and center, because we're always talked about. We are looked at every single pass play, every single run, every single call, and scrutinized. So then you have the perception of the mistakes that the Dallas Cowboy makes. Whereas you look at other teams, you don't have that micromanage. You only see the highlights, the great things that happen with those guys, and you think that they're not making those same mistakes. It's perception versus reality. Reality is Matt Ryan had 2 less touchdown passes than Dak Prescott last year. As bad as Dak Prescott played, as some of you will say. Reality is Cam Newton had less touchdown passes than Dak Prescott did last year. But in reality, Dak Prescott's numbers were better. But perception is those guys are better than what Dak Prescott is. So I'm going to finish crunching those numbers and things and bring that back to you guys. And it will tell you if you should pay that wide receiver. And is it truly all Dak's fault? Or is it the natural order of things? That being said, I got work to go do, friends. I hope you guys make it a great day. Make sure you let anybody and everybody that you care about know how you feel, and make sure it is a productive day. I'm Mark Holmes. This is Cowboy Joe Boo. And this cup of coffee is for you, Kumar.